welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel. In this video, I get to show you one of my very own designs, the Lafayette Chic shawl. This shawl is super fun and easy for beginner crocheters to complete. It uses 5 balls of my very own yarn, Chic Sheep by Marley Bird, which is 100% washable merino wool. It is beautiful yarn that comes in 24 wonderful colors, so you can find a color that is perfect for you. This shawl, as I mentioned, is great for beginners, and with my help, you will have no problem making this wonderful 1-row repeat shawl. This is a free pattern available at redheart.com. I'll put a link to the free pattern in the video description box right down there below, and while you're down there, please smash that like button, as my kids say. Once you have your pattern and your materials, join me back here and I'll show you everything you need to know to create this really great shawl. As I was designing patterns for Chic Sheep by Marley Bird, I knew that I wanted to have a crocheted wrap that was lacy, but wasn't a dainty sort of lace, but it had some substance to it. As I was looking through my stitch pattern books, this is the stitch pattern that I came upon and thought that it would be absolutely perfect with my yarn. As you look down here, you can see that this stitch pattern is really pretty. Let's open this up a little bit so you can get some contrasting here. It is a basic sort of chevron pattern as it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And you create that by working different stitches in the valleys and the peaks. And so you get this really great look. I'm actually looking at this upside down. Let's look at it this way here. It's probably easier. So down here in the valleys, this is where we will work double crochet 3-togethers. In the peaks, that's where we are going to create a set of 2 double crochet clusters, and we will put 3 of those at the peak. By working this increase and the decrease, we're able to get this really cool chevron look. I simply love the look of this lacy type chevron stitch in the Lafayette Chic shawl, and I can't wait to show it to you because it's easy to remember. Once we get past the stitches on the chains and we begin working the stitches into the actual stitches, you're going to get into a rhythm, and you can make this shawl as long or as short as you want. Just remember that you will either need more yarn or less yarn for whatever you decide. Okay, grab your hook and your yarn and let's jump into this really great pattern. The pattern has us begin by chaining 67 chains, and I will give you a little tip. If you do more than 67, it acts as a buffer in case you accidentally use up too many chains as you're working across. It will never show in the finished project of the work, but you'll have those chains there in case you need them, and if you don't, you simply pick them out. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Row 1. We begin with a double crochet into the 3rd chain from hook. So I will yarn over my hook, go into the 3rd chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. This skip chain 2 and double crochet there counts as a double crochet cluster, or a 2 double crochet cluster. Now we are going to chain 1, and we will do 1 more 2 double crochet cluster right here. So this next one will be the regular 2 double crochet cluster. So I yarn over my hook, go into that same chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and pause. So I've partially completed a double. I yarn over my hook, go into that same chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. So I've partially completed a second double. So that's where we get the 2 double crochet. The cluster is where we bring these together and we make 1 stitch. So I yarn over my hook and I draw through all 3 loops. So that, my friends, right there is a 2 double crochet cluster. Don't worry, you're going to be using it again very soon. This 2 double crochet cluster and this 2 double crochet cluster represent a half shell. Okay, so this is a half shell. You begin your shawl and you end your shawl with half shells. It's so that way you can get your edges to look right, just so that you can keep the pattern in the chevron. Now, knowing that these clusters are going to be at the top and our shells are at the top, we now have to go essentially, think of it this way, down to the valley. So that way we can go back up to the next peak. So here's how we're going to do that. We will chain one, skip one chain, into the next chain we will place a double crochet. Chain one, skip a chain, into the next chain we will place a double crochet. Chain one. That right there, my friends, is all you need to do to get down to where we're going. Coincidentally, it's also all you need to do to go up when we have to go up to the peak. Now that we're down here in the valley, you're probably thinking, what do you mean? It's just a straight line. It'll show up after we do this stitch. We're going to do a double crochet through 3 together, and we're going to do it over a series of chains, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to yarn over our hook. We're going to skip one chain, go into the next chain, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and stop. So that's a partial double crochet. Yarn over your hook, skip one chain, go to the next, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over your hook, skip one chain, go to the next, work your partial double crochet, and there we go. So we have 3 partial double crochets. Now we're going to yarn over and draw through all of those, and we're going to create a double crochet 3 together. By doing so, we have actually worked a decrease. We've pulled all of those chain stitches together. Now, as I set this down, let me extend that up a little bit, you can see I've went down, and that is the valley of this chevron we're going to create, okay? Because we worked these partial double crochets into separate chains, not all into one chain, that's what makes it a double crochet 3 together. The cluster was all worked into the same chain or the same stitch, so that is a cluster. Now that we've done the valley, we got to go up to the peak. So we follow along with the instructions, which state to chain 1, skip a chain, double crochet into the next chain, chain 1, skip a chain, double crochet into the next chain, and then chain 1. Now we have worked our way up to where the next stitch that we complete right here, which is going to be called a shell, we want to put it all into one stitch, okay, that one chain. Now the shell is comprised of 2 double crochet clusters and chains. We will have a set of 3 2 double crochet clusters separated by chains. So let's go ahead and work this together. We start off by yarning over our hook, skip one chain, go to the next. So everything we're going to be doing is going to be worked in that one chain. We will insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over our hook, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over, draw through all 3 loops on hook. That's our first 2 double crochet cluster. Chain 1. Now we have to do all that again. So I yarn over, I'm going into the same chain, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over my hook, insert my hook into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. Yarn over, draw through all 3. Chain 1. Now I have to do one more 2 double crochet cluster, yarn over my hook, insert into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over my hook, insert into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through all 3. As I set this down, you can see that my chain, which was once nice and straight, is now beginning to get a chevron shape. Can you see how that works? So we have a partial shell, a beginning first half shell, and then we worked our way down to the valley, which we did a 3 double crochet together. Then we worked up to the peak where we did a shell, which is a 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, 2 double crochet cluster, all into one chain. you continue on working down this chain. We would work down to the valley, up to the peak, down to the valley, up to the peak, until we have a total of 4 valleys. Once you have that, you have to work up to the peak again, but this time we'll do a half shell. All right, so here's another swatch, another beautiful color. This is called dragon fruit. You can see there's a valley, a valley, a valley, and I just finished my 4th valley. So in pattern, it's time for me to work up to my peak, which would be my end, and I will do my finishing half shell, okay? So, and I have extra chains here on purpose. So you will chain over, chain 1, and we're going to skip a chain and double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip a chain, double crochet in the next. And now I'm to where I want to make my half shell. So I will chain 1, skip a chain, and in the next chain, I will do a 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, and then another 2 double crochet cluster into that same chain. Okay, so right there, that is a half shell that I just made. And as I set this down, you can see that I'm really getting the nice chevron look. I have extra chains down here because I always do a little bit extra when I'm working with stitches that I know tend to cinch in on themselves because I'm putting so many stitches into one chain. I just want to make sure I don't have to start over if I run out of chains. So let's move on to row 2 because this is the only row you really need to know to complete the rest of the shawl. For row 2, we go ahead and we turn our work and we begin with a chain 2. So 1, 2. And what you will notice is we're working row 2, it's going to look very similar to row 1, only instead of working into chains, we're working into actual stitches here, okay? So I've chained 2 into this first double crochet cluster right here. I will do a double crochet, a chain 1, and then a 2 double crochet cluster. So there is my first partial, my second partial, and complete. So I've begun here with my half shell. That's the way we always begin and we always end, with those half shells. And now we just carry on, and this is where people start to get a little bit confused, okay? So let's work this together. We start off with the chain 1, and then we want to put a double crochet into the top of this 2 double crochet cluster. We're skipping this chain 1 space, so we're coming to this one, and we'll do our double crochet. Chain 1, and we want to put a double crochet on top of this double crochet. So we're skipping that chain 1 space, and we're putting a double on top of this double. Chain 1. You with me so far? Now we want to work double crochet 3 togethers, and we want to join this one, and this one. So I will yarn over my hook, go into the top of this double, and work my partial double by pulling up a loop and drawing through 2. Now I will yarn over my hook, go into the top of this double crochet 3 together, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, and now I want to go into the top of this double. So I yarn over my hook, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, draw through all 4 loops, and I've created my valley stitch, okay? That's my decrease. Not so bad so far, right? Let's go ahead and carry on. We will then chain 1. We will go to the next double crochet and work a double crochet on top of that. On top of that, into that. I don't know how you want to say that. And then we will chain 1. We will do a double crochet in the top of this first 2 double crochet cluster. Chain 1, and that brings us to the center 2 double crochet cluster where we will do another shell. So I will yarn over my hook, go into this whole stitch right there, see it? I will do my first 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, my second 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, and then my third. See that? So I've created my shell, or the peak, into the center double crochet, 2 double crochet cluster of that shell. Chain 1, double crochet in the next 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 1, work our double crochet, or our, let's see, 3 double crochet together. So I will go into this one and work my partial double, go into this one and work my partial double, and this one and work my partial double. So I have 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, draw through all 4 loops, and carry on. Chain 1, put a double in the next double, chain 1, put a double in the next 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, and I'm at the center 2 double crochet cluster again, so I want to do my shell, which is a 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, 2 double crochet cluster, chain 1, and a 2 double crochet cluster. Pretty easy, right? I'm going to set this down so you can see what we've got so far. We have our half shell, come down to the valley where we have our double crochet 3 together, work up to the peak where we have our shell, valley, peak. If we carry on, valley, peak, but this is our half shell down here. So I'm going to continue on here. As I finish off with my half shell here and I set this down, you can see I am well on my way to this really great chevron stitch using these sort of lacy openings here with the doubles and the chain 1s. All you have to do now is repeat row 2 for the rest of the shawl. If you decide that you want to end and make the shawl a cowl, only make this shawl about 30 inches and then seam up the ends and you have a really cool cowl. If you decide you want a longer shawl, just keep going way past the amount listed on the pattern. Just remember you're going to need more yarn. The thing here is that knowing this stitch pattern makes this completely customizable, and it's a really wonderful, beautiful, fast stitch pattern to work up. You'll love this shawl, especially if you use Chic Sheep by Marley Bird. The yarn is squishy and comfortable, fun to use, really great colors, and I hope you enjoy the process of making this fabulous shawl. I'm Marley Bird. This is the Lafayette Chic Shawl, designed by Marley Bird, using Chic Sheep by Marley Bird. And if you make this shawl, why don't you use hashtag Marley Bird? How many times can I say Marley Bird in a video? Jeez Louise. Okay guys, that's it for me today. Hopefully you have learned something new and you will carry on these crochet skills to become bigger and better crocheters. I will talk to you again really soon. Bye. Hey, thanks for joining me today on the channel. If you want more videos just like that one, check out some of these other videos that I've already handpicked for you. And don't forget to hit subscribe so that way you're up to date whenever I release a new video. And don't forget, smash that like button, as my kids say. Bye guys.